Hello there, everybody. Welcome to the 1984 podcast. Introducing me, Devin Carruthers, Jacob Dye, and Christopher Hartman. Today we will be discussing 1984 and its connections to real-world governments, whether that be through Russia, China, North Korea, Syria, and the types of practices that they use, including government censorship, and the importance of good education, because education plays a major factor.
For children. Good education for kids.
Well, for kids and also for adults, because people start to make their opinions based on what they are taught. So, in order to introduce this topic, let's think about the types of things that these governments do, starting off with the type, like what these governments are, like what specifically. So, let's talk about North Korea.
North Korea.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'd like you to talk about North Korea. You're the history guy, the history buff, you.
I am, but only for certain topics. So North Korea is actually very similar to 1984 in multitudes of ways, whether that be the pictures of their president, and well, if you can really call it a president or anything like
Some
that.
kind of leader.
Yeah, their leader. Pictures of them in all of their houses. The types of buildings, even like if you look at the structuring of the buildings in their government, it's very similar to the description used in 1984, which is kind of odd if you really think about it, because they're really spot on.
Yeah, seems like they were trying. They read that book.
Maybe that's the real 1984.
It is the real 19. I mean,
It
everything's
is.
fenced off. They claim everybody's their enemy. I mean, like they behave just like the party,
Yeah,
the Communist Party,
Communist Party.
except more of a dictatorship. It's not
Well,
really like
yeah,
that
I'd
either.
say more. Definitely 1984 is dictatorship. Would you say? Or
I think it's more of like an oligarchy.
Yeah, because it's a group.
That's
It's
a
a
great
group.
one.
Yeah, it's definitely an oligarchy.
I don't know if there's a one man behind the.
Maybe
the
it's like
government or
John
not.
Wick and there's an elder above the high table.
I haven't seen John Wick.
Well, you know,
me either.
well, both of you are scum.
Okay.
Dead to me.
One thing about the government that we connected was 1984, and lots of governments actually censor. They like to censor stuff. They love censorship. They
They're like controlling what their
What's-
citizens.
yeah, what they're they like to
Definitely.
control the population.
I know China definitely likes to do that one a lot.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, true. You know, I was actually reading an article the other day, right?
Yeah.
I didn't look up this article 5 minutes ago. I was actually reading this article the other day. I
I'll
promise
be.
you.
I'll
I've
be.
just been reading articles left and
I
right.
might have read the same article.
You might have read this.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about it then? You say what the
Well,
article was.
This article, it talks about the media censorship in China.
China.
And it reads that China has one of the world's most restrictive media environments, relying on censorship to control information in the news, online, and in all social media.
And we can actually delve into this further by discussing the specific app that they use for this. It began off with this corporation made by this one guy who just wanted to make an app. And he made this penguin app thing, and he made the corporation Tencent. You've probably heard of it at some points in the top 10 richest companies, actually. And then they made WeChat, which is a very, very big government censorship thing. Basically, when it comes to WeChat, if you say specific wording or any of your conversations, really, they are constantly monitored by the Chinese government, like consistently. And because they use that app for everything, whether that be kind of like a PayPal or texting, things like that, they use it for everything. That means that everything they watch, everything that they talk about is constantly monitored and censored by the Chinese government.
Yeah, which is obviously a lot like 1984, I'd say.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
One thing I'd like to, I have a question for you guys. I'm always
Your big
asking you
question.
guys questions, just kind of who I am. Do you guys think that just like the government in 1984 alters the past and stuff, like the documents, everything to like make it look like they're better and like censor all the stuff that says that they're bad? Do you think any past governments have done that too, like in the past, and now it's taught as common knowledge. Like, I don't know, what if someone wrote that America invented breathing, and everyone just trusted that?
Well, I have three words. I have three words for you when it comes to like this happening in the past. The Alexandria Library.
The Alexandria Library. Would you like to?
Biggest library in the entire history of the world. All of our history, and this was about, let's see, 500 years ago. Biggest library in the world. It cataloged every single bit of history that happened before that point, and the Romans burned it down.
Oh yeah. You think they changed anything too? They think they?
It definitely had to be altered. If they
Altered
burned
a
down
little bit.
everything.
Yeah, may like they got some remains.
They
and
may
like
have
connected dots. Or
They may have
something.
definitely altered a little bit, but they 100% erased like
A
a
lot.
lot
That's
of
a lot of
stuff.
censorship. It wasn't really government censorship. It was more of just
Like,
like
they-
people
like-
censoring.
There could have been things that we don't even know and we'll never know to this day that
Mhm.
they just kind of burned.
Burned. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that sucks. Well, let's talk about North Korea then. Or do you have anything to say about Russia and Syria? We were gonna learn a little bit about that. You said it was something about genocide.
Oh yes.
We're not too well educated on it.
Yeah. Would you like to tell us about the whole connection from 1984 to Russia and Syria?
Okay, so basically what happened is Russia went into Syria, and Syria was having all these government issues, right? So while that was happening, they just basically experimented all of their weapons on them. So whether that be chemical warfare, vacuum bombs, things like that, like basically breaking the entire rule book in half. And it resulted in a genocide.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too well known, but it's confirmed that really did happen. It's very strange because it wasn't even that long ago.
Yeah. And
I wonder why
Like
it's
a
not
50-year time frame.
yeah. Government.
Not
Well,
sure.
More
But,
about
yeah.
North Korea then. Now that we're informed about that. North Korea. What do you guys? Well, of course, everyone knows North Korea is like the 1984 of modern day. What do you guys think about the fact that every leader has like a picture in their house, or like every person has a picture of their leader in their house? Like,
Just reminds me of the Big Brother posters.
would you say, yeah? How would you say that most closely relates to 1984?
Definitely the posters.
Posters.
Yeah. 100%.
I'd say so too. The posters everywhere, like
Just to make it
Big
feel like
Brother's
they're
watching you.
constantly being watched.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they are, maybe there's cameras.
I wonder if there was any inspiration taken.
Well, it'd be a very odd inspiration, like, wow, this party had the right ideas. How do you make North Korea?
Yeah, North Korea. That's how it was born. Well,
They read George Orwell's 1984 and then made North Korea based off it.
do you think that, speaking of George Orwell, do you think that if he was alive today and he saw North Korea or any of these governments, do you think he would be like shocked about how similar they can be to the one that he created?
I bet he'd be like, I told you so.
Yeah,
I'd
he'd probably say
describe
that a
the
lot.
whole thing in the book.
Yeah.
He'd just say, nah, 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 nah.
I'd like to see an interview with him about that. See what he thinks. He might.
An interview with him, are you going to resurrect him from the dead? Is he dead?
He's definitely.
Yeah,
dead. He's got to be
definitely
dead.
Yeah.
Because it was published in the 1950s.
Yeah, and
I'm not too sure how old he was then.
Yeah,
He's 100%
because
dead.
Okay, well,
There's no
are you
way.
going to resurrect him and conduct an interview, discuss it?
I might.
Just get a lightning rod.
Yeah, I honestly think that George Orwell was here. If he was our fourth guest right here, and he was sitting there right there, and he were talking about that, he'd probably be like really distressed about it, or maybe he wouldn't be distressed about it. Maybe he'd be like, man, I'm glad I was dead.
Man, I'm glad I got out of here
Glad
just
I
in
didn't
the
live
nick
to
of
see that.
time.
Yeah, glad he didn't live to see that.
I don't think he'd want to just talk with a bunch of kids about the matter. I think he'd like contact
We're teenagers, we're not kids.
kids with grown-up pill.
Okay.
It's called
And-
He's got something.
Because we're running out of time, I guess we should
It's like
talk about the importance of good education for our kids. I don't have kids, but I mean kids as in our society.
I'm a child. I can testify to
You
this.
can vouch.
Okay, yeah. What's I
So
feel
why
like-
is it so important?
Yeah. Why is it so important for kids to have good education?
Well, because their minds can be easily manipulated into twisting their morals to think what is right and wrong. So if you have this child and they're about 2 years old and you want to introduce them to the world of education, then if you show them what you want them to believe, then they're going to believe it because they don't know the other end.
Yeah.
They don't know how to make their own opinions yet. So if you introduce them to all these ideas and convey it like one side is bad and the other one is good, you can really convince anybody from that time frame of like age,
That generation.
yeah, that generation, what is actually good. Like
Yeah.
they could take something that is absolutely twisted to us right now and all of a sudden spin it to be perfect.
Which is actually really like explicitly shown in 1984 when they have the public hangings and the children really want to go to it. Like right now, if there was a public hanging, I'd probably
Like
not go.
Like
Let's
that
be
is
honest.
not.
I'm not gonna come to
that is not ethical.
You would find me in my room.
But you can also like flash that back to 1600s, like peasant children, and there's this guy being hung. Of course, they're going to watch
Yeah.
like they
I
used
guess.
to.
Well, because children are so curious and stuff. I guess stuff like that really interests them. But
It's odd how death interests something new to life.
it's one of the only things that we can't experience. Death.
It is definitely death in a way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would say, yeah. It's very important for children to have.
Your device will power down soon, by the way. Congrats on not charging your
I
Chromebook.
didn't charge my Chromebook, which is a good excuse to end this podcast right now. I think we
Is it? Hold on.
are over our time, so that's all the time we have.
Thank you for joining us on this adventure of 1984.
Yeah.
I am one of 3 hosts.
Yeah.
Now,
Trilogy.
please say goodbye. I'm not going to do all of your work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Farewell. Thanks for tuning in.